Every 4th of July, I watch 1776 because I am a nerd, and I just love that movie so much. If you've never seen it, it's a musical version of the story of the Declaration of Independence. And the movie version stars the guy who plays Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World as John Adams. I love it so much. I probably only watch it like once or twice a year, but every year on July 4th, I watch it. So while I was watching it, I got the idea to create a tag based on the different songs throughout the movie. So the first one is Sit Down, John. A character you wish would shut up, or just a character that will do anything to get what they want. For this one, I'm going to go with Mr. Wednesday from American Gods. I don't wish he would shut up, but he is a character who will stop at literally nothing to get what he wants and to be successful. The next one is Pidde, Twiddle, and Resolve, your favorite slow burn book. For this one, I'm going to go with The Dead House by Dawn Kurdigich. I don't think I'm saying that right, and I apologize. This is a horror novel that is one of those novels where you're not sure really what's real. The female protagonist of this book has some mental illness issues, and she claims that she's possessed. So throughout the book, there's a lot of like trying to figure out, is she actually possessed? Is she just mentally ill? And she thinks she's possessed by another soul in the same body. So it's not like a demon possession necessarily. It's sort of like that terrifying buildup you get in some horror movies where it's like keeps getting worse and you keep waiting for like the really bad thing to happen. But it does have some action-y parts and everything, but for the most part it's a lot of just sort of thinking and development in a very slow manner. The next one is Till Then, a devoted couple. I'm going to have to go with Arwen and Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. They are 100% devoted to each other. Arwen is willing to give up her immortality for Aragorn. Aragorn is thinking he's lost Arwen forever, but he's still completely dedicated to her. I can't really think of another couple that is quite as 100% devoted to each other. I may think of one later, but right now that's the only one I can think of. The next one is The Lees of Old Virginia. That is a book that lives up to the hype, and for that one I'm going to go with Illuminae. Personally, I hate hype. I try not to hype up a book before I recommend it to someone, and I was a little worried about this one because I did want to read it because everyone was saying how amazing it was, and I really wanted to find out if it was amazing as everyone said it was. And usually when everyone hypes it up like that, it ends up being disappointing, and you end up rating it lower than you would have originally just because it doesn't live up to the hype. But with this one, I couldn't believe how much I loved it. It was our book club pick, and literally not one of the three of us had anything negative to say. So that's pretty phenomenal for three people to completely agree that a book is just absolutely amazing. The next one is But Mr. Adams, which is actually, I think it's my favorite song in the entire movie. And for this one, I'm going to go with Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I have had this book for quite literally years, and I've picked it up and put it back down a couple times, partially because, well, the excuses I make are that it's too long and the third book isn't out yet, so maybe I should just wait until the third one is out and all that stuff. I actually do have it on audiobook, and I'd like to try to pick it up that way. I think that will help a little bit, but I still haven't read this, and I wish I have because everyone who really loves fantasy says it's amazing. Hopefully I get to this soon. The next one is Yours, 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 which is the John Adams and Abigail Adams ballad duet. This is an achingly beautiful OTP or a separated OTP. I'm going to go with Akiva and Carew from the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. Spoiler alerts for this trilogy. If you haven't read it yet, just fast forward to when I'm not holding this book up. Akiva and Carew it's sort of like an angel-demon sort of love story. They're obviously on opposite sides of the war, so they love each other, but they're kind of destined to not be together, but they still want to be together. Their love is just so beautiful, but the whole time you're just in pain because they can't be together for most of the series. The next one is He Plays the Violin, which is about Jefferson and his wife. This one is a couple you can't get enough of. Hatter and Alice from the retelling of Alice by Christina Henry. They're not really a couple, like you expect them to become a couple anyway, but they're not really a couple throughout the whole thing. but they do have like the way that they kind of complement each other just makes you want to keep reading about them. So this has a sequel, The Red Queen, but I really hope Christina Henry revisits this world somehow. I'm not really sure how, because the first one is sort of a retelling of Alice in Wonderland, and the second one is a retelling of Alice Through the Looking Glass. So I'm not really sure how she would be able to revisit it, unless she just went totally off book and just kind of explored the world without like a third source material. I just love Hatter and Alice so much. I really want to revisit them in another book. The next one is Cool, Considerate Men, which is a book that is kind of dated. For this one, I'm going to go with one that's probably going to upset some people, because I know it's a lot of people's favorite series, but The Chronicles of Narnia. When I was a kid, I read it and I didn't notice a lot of the somewhat problematic things and kind of bash you over the head allegories that arise in this series. It's still like, I think kids would really enjoy it, but rereading it as an adult, I sort of had a moment of, maybe this is sort of has its time and place, and after a while, you know, it's kind of in the past. I still love the stories, it's just hard for me to get past the particular writing style. The next one is Momma Look Sharp, and that's a book that deals with trauma. For this one, I'm going to go with Meddling Kids. I don't have a hard copy. This is sort of like, I've heard it described as a cross between Scooby-Doo and Cthulhu. So basically, the Scooby-Doo gang, but obviously they're not Scooby-Doo, but a group of kids that operated like the Scooby-Doo gang grew up and returned to where they were used to solve crimes to reopen a case that had been closed. Throughout the course of the book, the characters all deal with different types of trauma and the ramifications of the trauma that was created by this particular last case. The next one is The Egg, the part of the movie where the Declaration is being read to the Continental Congress and they're just sort of waiting to see what happens. So this one's a book that left you wanting the sequel like right now. I have to go with Truly Devious on this one. I read this when it came out, and even though I'm really glad I read it, I kind of regret reading it that quickly after it came out because it left on such a cliffhanger that I can't imagine waiting at least a year to read the next one. This is about a girl who ends up going to a school where there was a murder, a serial murder case several years ago, and then all of a sudden murders start happening again, and she's trying to solve both cases at the same time. It's by Maureen Johnson, and I think it's going to be a trilogy, so she's not going to be able to obviously figure out the mystery in one book because it's been a cold case for I think like 50 years at that point, maybe 100, something like that. It's a really cold case, and she's really interested in it and she wants to solve it, but obviously she's not going to do that in the course of one book. So I think it's stretched over 3 books, and the cliffhanger in this one, it's just like, it was a twist. I kind of saw hints of it early on, but when it happened, it was still like, you can't leave it like that. So I really can't wait for the sequel to come out, and I will probably pre-order it so that the day it comes out, I will just have to sit at home and read it all day. There will be no other option. The next one is Anybody There? A book that you wish more people read. I could be wrong about this, and maybe it is more popular than I'm thinking it is, but I never hear people talk about this book, and I think that's so odd because it was such a unique book and such a unique concept, and the writing was beautiful, and like I said, it was such a unique concept. I've never really read another book like this, and that's Incarnate by Jodi Meadows. It's basically a book about a society where every time you die, you come back, so all the souls know each other. And then this girl is born, and she's a new soul, which means she took the place of one of the old souls. And so it's her sort of trying to navigate, why did she take the place of one of the old souls? How did she do it? And sort of finding her place in the society that doesn't really want her because they resent the fact they view it as her having killed one of them. Like I said, really unique. I don't think I've ever encountered another storyline like that. I would like to encounter more. It was really intriguing. And I love Jodi Meadows. I think she's a fantastic writer. So I really wish more people would read this so that I could talk about it more. And the last one is The Signing, which actually isn't really a song in the movie, it's just the end of the movie when they sign the Declaration of Independence. So this one is a book with a satisfying ending. And this one's really tricky because I feel like when you really love a book, it never really has a satisfying ending because you want more if you really, really love it. I understand the whole like an author ends where they end for a reason and everything like that. A lot of books, especially nowadays, are left kind of open so that they could always go revisit the world. At least that's the way I see a lot of books as ending nowadays, where they don't answer every single question so that you can go back, or maybe they don't answer every single question because not every single question gets answered in life. I don't know. So that leaves me with sort of this feeling of I would like more of the characters, I would like more of the story, all that kind of stuff. So most books don't really have a satisfying ending for me because I just always want more. Maybe I'm just greedy. Anyway, the only book I can think of that I've read recently that has a satisfying ending to me is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. That's a book about a girl who has OCD and she's trying to solve a crime, you know, going through life with her OCD. Sometimes it acts up more than others. And that's the only book I can think of where the ending just made me feel like she really came full circle, where she was at a point, which if you suffer from any type of mental health issue, nothing is ever really cured. You're never like, oh wow, I'm completely better. There's always a possibility of relapse. And that wasn't taken away at the end of this book, but it was more of with coming to terms with who she is and being okay with that. And I don't know, that was probably the most satisfying ending I've read in a long time, which, like I said, is a big deal because most books are not satisfying at the end to me because I want to keep reading. So that is the 1776 tag. I'm not going to tag anyone specific, just if you want to do this tag, feel free. I hope you enjoyed the tag, and if you do it, I hope you enjoy doing it. This is my first time creating a tag, so it was kind of fun. As always, there are so many books and so little time, so I'm gonna go read, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.